Meeting of Monday, March the 9th to order. There is an agenda there in front of you. Can I have a motion, please, to approve the agenda? Councilors Rondawa and Forster. Any additions, deletions? All in favor? Any opposed? It is carried. We have opportunity for members of the public to make a comment on any item that's upcoming on the agenda. Nobody running towards the microphone. We'll move on to the consent agenda. There is a consent agenda with a number of items there. There are minutes for approval, minutes of the special meeting to close of February 23rd, minutes of the regular meeting of February 23rd. There's reports for receipt. One is a report from planning with regards to development activity for February, and a report from the fire chief with regards to a monthly fire rescue report for February 2026. There are three pieces of correspondence: a letter from the City of Prince George, with a petition to the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General of Canada, looking to toughen some of the rules around releasing people to the streets too quickly. A letter from the Corporation of the Township of Spalmachune. There we go. Thank you. It's a UBCM resolution for consideration and it has to do with natural gas heating. And there's also a letter of from Trans Canada Yellowhead Highway Association with a call for 2026 resolutions. Correspondence for approval. There's a report from the Director of Planning and Development Services with regards to local government development approvals program application. Letter from the Prince Rupert Youth Soccer Association, request for a letter of support, and a letter from the Prince Rupert Amateur Swim Club with a request for a letter of support. Can I have a motion, please? Councillors Rondawa and Ady, any items you want to speak to specifically, or all in favor? Any opposed? It is carried. We have reports. We have a report from planning with regards to the development variance permit 2603. It's at 198 Prince Rupert Boulevard. Recommendation is that council proceed with statutory notification for development variance permit 2603. Can I have a motion to that effect, please? Councillors Rondawa and Forster. Discussion. Councillor Niche.
This one bothers me every time it comes up. This person has chosen always to keep skirting the rules and keeps doing more and more, and we're expected to let it happen. I'll go way back when he built an addition on his house. Then it was brought to us because it was built in too close to the property line, and we approved that. So he knows the rules, and then he goes and builds a deck on the weekend and does it without a permit, doesn't build it properly, and we tell him to take it down, and he ignores that. And then years go by, and he decides to cut a hole in the front of his house to access that deck, and all while we were telling him to tear it down. And now here he is again, once again. So as far as I was concerned, we made this decision a long time ago to already tell this person to tear it down. If you look at the drawings, it's something like 4 feet onto city property. So if that's the way it's going to work, and if you just ask for forgiveness after, then people are just going to keep doing this stuff. And to me, it's one thing if it's something little, but this is a person that has constantly ignored the bylaws, ignored property lines. When the addition went on, there was a whole bunch of neighbors that opposed it, and so here we are again back in the same position again. So I cannot support it in any way, shape, or form.
Shio Pusha, I'm looking for just, and it could be to Director Hope, but I'm looking for clarification. I recall we had a remediation order on this, and then that was paused by this process. Is that correct? Am I correct?
Correct, and I can have Director Pope give a little bit more clarity to it. But yes, that's correct. So there was a remediation order that was put on it. The applicant came in to try and rectify it, which then somewhat pauses the process. And during the process, was trying to find ways to adjust and come in and rectify it and make it compliant. So we're at that point now today where a choice to allow the DVP will allow the process to continue, which would then be a building permit and so on and so forth, or to deny that, which then would go back to the remedial action order that's on that's council was intending to do. But I'll pass it on to Director Pope to make sure I got all that correct.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That is generally correct. The remedial action order was issued in, I believe, 2023 or 2024. And the applicant did reach out to the city and started working with the city to reach compliance. There were just periods of absence that were not long enough to cancel the application. This is the first full application that the city technically received through that reconsideration process.
Okay. So just for clarity, we're kind of at a crossroads. If council continues down on the DPP route, then then we do. And if we don't, then we go back to the remediation order, and the order's in effect and continues. Any other comments or questions, council?
Well, is he wanting to add another 5 feet to this deck?
Sorry, Director Pope.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you repeat the councilor's question? Sorry.
Is looking for, I think 5 feet extension into city property is
Right. So the way the structure is existing right now is what is proposed on the variance permit ahead for you. So it has been constructed. It is not currently to building code. What would be required for this structure to be brought into compliance and into a legal space would be one, for the variance to be approved, which would allow it to go within these zoning setbacks on the property itself, and then for a building permit to be approved and a permit to construct. And for both of those pieces, the structure itself will need to be brought in up to building code. So there will be additional work on the structure, but the proposal is not to add additional 5
Right.
feet from the current structure.
It's
Yeah.
as is.
Yeah.
And then
Did he have a building permit to put that sliding door? So the carport now becomes a deck?
Mr. Mayor, there is no building permit for any of this work.
Councillor Forster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, I'm a bit confused. So I've heard, if I understand correctly, this already exceeds onto city property by at least 4 feet, 4 to 5 feet is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
And so if we approve this, this person gets an extra 4 feet of
Yes.
property that's not theirs.
Yes.
No.
Well, you don't get the property, but go ahead, Director.
Thank you, Your Worship. To clarify, the variance itself only relates to the amount of the structure that encroaches onto the setbacks on the property. In order to allow a structure to go onto city property, what is needed is a permit to construct with an associated encroachment agreement, and that is delegated to staff decision. So that will be required as a next step if this variance is approved. This variance does not guarantee approval of that permit.
Councillor Forster.
I'm so sorry. I'm not a builder. And so I just want to make sure I've got this right
Yep.
in my head, because
Yep.
what I'm hearing is that some amount of space is on somebody else's property. In this case, it's the city's.
Correct.
In the setback. And so I'm thinking of it as like my own house.
Yes.
If my neighbor suddenly built 5 feet onto my property line,
Yes.
are they paying a portion of my taxes? Are they, like, how does that work?
So
I'm so sorry. I
no,
don't get it.
and I think it's important to be clear. So, and then I'm sure that your questions are shared by many others in the public. And if I miss this, then I'm sure that there'll be lots of others to help us here. The existing structure goes out past the property line onto city property by 4 or 5 feet. The development variance permit can only deal with what's on the property, right? So This process would, if approved, would allow that portion of the structure that's fully inside the property line to go ahead, right? Still have to do the building permit, still have to, be built safe and all that sort of stuff. The 4 or 5 feet that stick out beyond, that needs to be dealt with by staff through that staff process
Okay.
that Director Pope just referred to.
So if I vote yes, let's
Yes.
say,
Yes.
if I say yes, go
Yes.
ahead with this,
Yes.
potentially the person still needs to get rid of all the stuff that's on city property. That doesn't change.
If that was the staff determination, that would.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is only approving what's on their property.
Correct.
Okay. Now, as a council, I think we said staff can just make that decision for pieces of property and decisions that aren't that are on city property. It doesn't have
Correct.
to come to council.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct. Been delegated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So,
Councillor Niche.
Just a little bit more context for you though. So property setbacks is, front property setback is 12 feet. So you can't build anything within 12 feet of your front property line.
Right.
So what he's asking for is to build in that 12 feet, which is already built. And not correctly. And then also that's where then the staff, if we approve that, then the staff would then say yay or nay to the other 5 feet. Right? So he's basically built 16 or 17 feet onto property that shouldn't be built
Beyond the setback.
on, beyond the setback.
And before I go to Councillor Cunningham, I want to make sure that Director Pope agrees with what we've been saying.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll make one small clarification. So the variance itself, what is being in question now is a variance to the zoning bylaw. So that's all of this is. This doesn't guarantee that the applicant would be allowed to build what is proposed. That is actually a building permit question.
Right.
So this is actually approving that the land use within the setback is allowed. And that just relates to the coverage and the height of what is proposed in that area. So there is still a checkpoint that everything is up to code at the building permit stage. And that is the same process that staff would go through at the encroachment stage, which is essentially similar to a building permit, but on city property.
Councillor Cunningham.
so council will get to see that building permit if we approve this, right? That goes through staff, correct?
Yes.
So I can't support this. This has just gone on too long. And he's blatantly flaunting bylaws, obviously.
Councillor Randawa.
So just question, like if we say yes today, right, this one, it will go for public consultation, right?
Yep.
And then we can get feedback
Yep.
from them, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I see the a report from the right. He hires a new engineer and some drawings from them how to fix that one.
Yeah.
And so that way if we go consultation and if neighborhood they say they
Right.
have problem, then we can get report back, right?
Right. Yeah, that's really good clarification. Tonight, we're not being asked to approve the development variance permit. We're being asked to consider moving it forward by going to public consultation, which we would do for any development variance permit. And however, if council is of the opinion that the public opinion won't matter, they're going to say no, then you might as well say no tonight, not put everybody through a process, right? Councillor Adie.
It may not be a surprise that I'm very interested in what the public has to say about it.
Mhm.
And on that basis, I'm inclined to let it go one step further. I will say that I share the frustration over the length of the process and the background history of this whole issue with this home. because I think that we have to also preserve our capacity as a governing body to back up what we say in terms of the regulations that we have. And I think that's really important. It was important to me as a teacher in a classroom, and it's important, I think, in life in many respects. So I see both an argument for going ahead at least one more step. But I'm also, I suppose in an ideal world, I would wish that there was no encroachment and the construction being considered was entirely on the person's property. And I would be much more sympathetic to whatever permits are involved in making that part happen. I think I share Councillor Forster's capacity for construction, but I'm not sure what would happen to the planned construction that's already constructed if in fact it became something that had to be entirely on the property. And what that would mean in terms of expense or feasibility, or I don't know, and maybe I'd like to know more about that part. But I'm quite ambivalent. I would not be opposed to moving it to a public notification, but I do think the history of this is very troubling.
Any other comments?
Is this person an employee of Stina Taxi?
Are you asking a conflict of interest question?
Yes, I am.
It's up to individual councillors to declare their own conflict of interest. I can't answer the question. Are you ready to vote? I'm going to ask all in favor. Those opposed?
I am.
Councillor Skelton Morvan, where do you stand? Sorry.
Sorry, I was opposed as well.
Opposed? Sorry. Was that?
Yes, that's correct.
The motion is defeated. Thank you. All right, the next item up. I've lost my place. Next item up is a report from the Chief Financial Officer with regards to the reinstatement of the Northern and Rural Area Homeowner Benefit. The recommendation is Council endorse the attached resolution and submit it for consideration at the NCLGA. Just so that the public knows what we're talking about, there is a homeowner benefit that was repealed January 1st, that will be repealed rather, in the new budget, gets repealed in January 1st of 2027, a new provincial budget. And the acting clause in the resolution is that NCLGA and UBCM petition the province to reinstate the Northern and Rural Area Homeowner Benefit effective January the 1st, 2027. Councillor Forster.
I would like to move this.
Councillor Forster moves it. Is there a seconder? Councillor Adey, go ahead.
Thank you. If you recall, last meeting I gave notice that I would like to do this as a motion. While this doesn't change our budget as a city because we would get that amount
Correct.
regardless, it's important for people in our community. The cost of living has skyrocketed, and anything we can do to advocate for people in our community is best. I really appreciate the way that CFO Bombin has outlined this. I encourage everybody at home to read through this because there's a lot of really great information in here.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Good. Any other comments or questions, Council? All in favor? Any opposed? It is carried. We move on to Council Roundtable. Councillor Forster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple of things. I was excited to attend Children's Fest this weekend and wanted to give a shout out to everybody that participated and had tables, all the volunteers and all the different people that participated. It was really great to see so many families engaging in a low-cost activity in our community. I also want to give a shout out and encouragement to all of our players traveling to Langley this weekend for JAMT next week for the Junior All Native Basketball Tournament, as well as all of the sports teams that in the last few weeks have done our city proud. And finally, I wanted to bring a motion forward to direct staff to write a letter of support in support of our blood counts and their work towards getting a blood donation center in Prince George, as well as mobile capacity. I shared the Our Blood Counts petition that's on social media and had a lot of people from our community say how sad they were that they could no longer have a mobile clinic or travel. So in 2015, Prince George's blood donation clinic closed, and it came to NCLGA last year and was supported by NCLGA but never made it to the floor at UBCM. I think there is a lot of people in our community that if they were able to go to Prince George would donate, but even better, a mobile clinic, which could only happen if we had a more local mobile clinic as well as going to Prince George. So I would like to make a motion asking staff to write a letter of support of us as a council to have a treatment center in Prince George as well as having mobile capacity.
That's a motion. Is there a seconder? Councillor Adie. This was a letter I think that all of council received, or was it only
I think
sent
it was
to me?
just you and I.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't circulated broadly. If I'd been on the ball, it would have been in the correspondence package. And it is so it's moved and seconded. It is exactly as Councillor Forster said, looking to reestablish a northern opportunity for people to get blood. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? It's carried. Councillor Niche.
I just wanted to offer condolences to the family of Brian Hogestad, which was a firefighter for the city of Prince Rupert for many years, and he passed away last week, and a good man, and it was sad to hear that.
Absolutely. Councillor Adie.
I just wanted to reflect that I attended a community energy dialogue that was hosted and facilitated by UVic, Dr. Tamara Krawchenko, last week at the public library. It was a relatively small gathering, but it represented a pretty broad range of views. There is a draft report that has been circulated, but I think I'll save any details until it's been fully vetted and released in terms of public access. I will say that it touched the conversation touched on a number of themes of concern for people, and I'll just list those without going into any recommendations that came from it. Energy supply constraints with regard to industrial growth, concerns regarding bitumen pipeline proposals, perhaps not surprisingly, household energy affordability challenges, inequities in terms of taxation and revenue sharing between major industry and the community, a desire for energy transition towards renewables on a small scale level as well as a large scale level, and finally concerns about existing in a boom and bust resource based community and what that means and building resilience against that. So that was kind of the subject matter of the conversation. It was an interesting evening, and there will be I think a fairly comprehensive account of it published fairly soon.
Excellent. Anything else? Councillor Randawa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, weather is very unpredictable this year, but I was wondering when weather gets a little better, so we have still our crew working on the potholes is getting really bad some places.
Excellent. Yeah, I echo that. Yeah. Anyone else? I've got a couple, but no. Okay. I attended the Business Excellence Awards, and they were excellent. Prince Rupert District Chamber of Commerce put on a real show, and quite a number of local businesses, professionals, and others were recognized, not only those that won, but those that were nominated, recognized through the course of a really wonderful evening. Our MLA, Tamara Thompson, was there. Tamara, I know it, Tamara Thompson. You know what? Thank you very much. I can't believe it because somebody else blew her name that night, and I was no, it's Davidson. It's Tamara Davidson. Thank you very much, Counselor, catching me. I was in Victoria, also saw Minister Tamara Davidson with the RBA co-chairs. So the mayor of Terrace, the mayor of Smithers, and myself as the mayors of the largest communities within the RBA area, and each from a different region, met with the premier and a number of ministers, Minister Boyle, Minister Anderson, Minister Davidson, all with the goal of beginning the conversation about how to extend the RBA. And I have to, every time I talk about this, I want to make sure that anybody that's listening that doesn't understand what the RBA is it's the Resource Benefit Alliance. It was started more than 10 years ago. Many people around this council table argued for it over the years, certainly former mayors. Lee Brain led the charge on it for quite a number of years, and we were successful finally 2 years ago in getting the province to advance that. As a matter of fact, it was almost this time of year 2 years ago. It's a 5-year deal that gives us $6.8 million a year. So if the RBA was a taxpayer in Prince Rupert, they would be our single largest taxpayer by a lot. If and when the province deals with the port tax cap, the port tax cap will be nowhere near the amount of money that the RBA brings in for us every year. I mean, just to put it in scale. And it's not to say we aren't continuing to fight for the cap to be changed and all those other things. We need every penny we can get. But that's $6.8 million a year that we're able to do other things above and beyond what we could possibly do with the taxes we raised. One of the ways that we were able to get this agreement was to promise it would not be used to lower taxes. It would be the province giving back from the revenues that are raised in this region back into the communities so that we can better build the kind of communities that will make those projects successful. And so we had a really significant time with the premier. And while the agreement's still 3 years away from expiring, it's not too early to begin that conversation, and we will continue that conversation on a regular basis. Finally, I'd like to note that tomorrow we mark the passing, some family members certainly, and some of the community will mark the passing of Charlotte Rouse. And Charlotte passed away a little bit ago, but at just shy of 102 years old, and was so active in the community and made such a difference in so many ways. And so I just want to remind people, if you're interested in attending and have thought about it, it's I think 10:45 at the Catholic Church for the I'm looking for the it'll be a mass that and other things that will take place. There will be a celebration of life later, I understand, in May. But all right, with that, is there anything else, Council? I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Moved Councillor Forster, seconded Councillor Randhawa. All in favor? Any opposed? It's carried. Meeting is